Jojo Robertson, can we do anything about the Dewberry Hotel to drive revenue?
I know that there are discussions by people other than me.
Is that counselors?
No.
Okay.
On the private side. There have been discussions of things that might happen to get something going with the Dewberry Hotel. If there is a role for the city to play, I can assure folks that there is a strong majority on council wanting to do something to help. Because,
we posted something about this on social over the weekend that obviously got traction. Dewberry Bloomberg dubbed him the Emperor of Empty Lots. We've pivoted that moniker to the extorting Emperor of Empty Lots. He's paying his real estate taxes, though. And
$65,000 a year.
$65K. It's nominal.
Right.
Nominal. But to Dewberry's point, and I'm not standing up for Dewberry. I think there's nothing that's more hideous about the downtown mall than the Dewberry Hotel. I am not standing up for Dewberry. But the guy's paying his real estate taxes, and structural engineers have assessed the property and said it's structurally sound.
Right.
So blighted,
we have no
you
authority.
have no course of action.
Right.
Is that fair?
There is nothing we can do as long as the building isn't endangering anybody else, and as long as he's paying his taxes. People have said, well, why don't you just go ahead and use eminent domain? Well,
you can't.
You really can't.
Yeah.
And even if we did, we'd have to pay him market value for it. And where are we going to find that money? So I think that the answer is that we need to continue to try to encourage Mr. Dewberry to do something about it. If there are ways that we can encourage that more pragmatically, happy to do that.
So does that mean tax incentives? And does that get back to our moniker, the extorting Emperor of Empty Lots, that keeps the property so blighted and hideous?
I haven't talked to him. I don't know.
Okay. Because I would think that would be the extent of what you could do is, and Neil says property owners have rights, even property owners you don't like. And he's exactly right.
Right, absolutely.
He's exactly right. So I would think that the only way we can motivate Mr. Dewberry of Atlanta, Georgia, former quarterback of the Georgia Tech Rambling Wreck, who grew up in Waynesboro, Virginia, the only way we can motivate him to do anything with this property, because he's already promised it would happen after his Charleston hotel was finished. And the Charleston hotel's been done for some time. But the only way we can incentivize him is by saying tax incentives here, and you have a time constraint of this to get these incentives. Is that the only leverage you all have?
Let me just say, stay tuned.
Okay, so I have to ask a follow-up to this.
And I'm not going to be able to give you any detail.
All right.
But my guess is in the next few weeks there will be something happening that you will want to say, that's kind of cool.
Okay. So Lloyd, in our business, Mayor Snook, in our business, that's called a teaser.
That's right.
Was that a tease of what's on the horizon?
I know that there are folks who are working with Mr. Dewberry on the private side. I don't know where that's going to lead, but I expect at this point something will happen within the next month.
Okay, I got to say this. Media that's watching, Neil Williamson that's watching, that's potentially breaking news right there. And we'll leave it at that. And I have too much respect for this man to continue to push on this topic. But it seems like, and there's no one more connected than Mayor Snook on this.
Just understand, this is not... The folks who are working on downtown Charlottesville things, and there are a lot of people who work downtown who have the desire for the downtown situation to improve. Some of whom are willing to put substantial amounts of their own money into making it happen. Some of them have been trying to move these various balls forward. I don't know that the city has done anything at this point. I don't know whether, certainly they haven't been doing it through me, but then there's no reason they ought to be doing it through me. I'm just saying, we've known for a long time that one of the things that is important to the Dewberry folks is that I don't want to trivialize this, but it's a matter of simple respect. That the vote in 2017 was essentially a stab in the back.
Well, and I hate to bring this up here, but, and this is me saying this is not you saying this. Mayor Mike Signer at the time led a charge to negotiate a parking agreement with the Water Street parking garage.
Right.
And that parking agreement with Mayor Signer at the time really motivated and incentivized Mr. Dewberry to do something with this project, specifically a high-end hotel. And if memory serves correct, now Councilor Michael Payne got involved with that and convoluted that agreement to the point of it dematerializing.
Well, and a little more history. In March of 2017, Council had given preliminary approval by a 4-to-1 vote for this project, for this deal to go through.
The parking agreement.
A parking agreement. Also, there was going to be some rebate on taxes for the first 10 years or something like that. A partial rebate, not a complete, but some discount on it, basically while the hotel got up and running. Come now to December of 2017, and the vote is coming up for what I think everybody thought was going to be a routine reaffirmation of the earlier March vote. And at that time, for some reason, instead of being 4-to-1 in favor, Councilor Bellamy,
Dr. Wes Bellamy,
and Bob Fenwick both changed their votes. And I've gone back and I've watched the video again, and Mayor Signer is thinking, surely, it
was a slam dunk.
It was a slam dunk that Kathy Galvin made the motion, and he was fully expecting, as had happened 9 months earlier, that Councilor Bellamy, or Vice Mayor, I guess at that point, Bellamy, or Bob Fenwick would second it. Nobody seconded it. And finally, Mike said, well, I'll second it myself, which, of course, he can do, but it's kind of not the way it gets done most of the time. And then there was no discussion. There was no explanation of why Wes Bellamy or Bob Fenwick changed their votes. They just voted no. And at that same meeting, when it was on the docket, on the agenda, then Councilor-elect Nakia Walker stood up and made made a speech or something, a comment about it. Michael Payne was very much against the deal, and there was it was really being drawn as an equity issue.
That's exactly how I remember it.
Why are you giving breaks to this rich, out-of-town white guy at a time like this? And that was also, if I remember correctly, was also the meeting when that day it was announced that Al Thomas, the police chief, was resigning under pressure, presumably. And so it was a very emotionally fraught meeting. And to have this thing happen at the end of 2017, as two of the councilors are going off, their parting shot, was a stab in the back. And it was a stab in the back to the Dewberry folks who had been negotiating in good faith with the city, expecting that they had the deal done. You don't bring that up. If you're one of the councilors who's going to change your mind, you ought to at least call up the mayor and say, I don't want to blindside you with this, but I got to tell you, I'm changing my vote, and if you bring it up, it's going to go down to defeat. That didn't happen. And so the Dewberry folks absolutely have a right to feel they got stabbed in the back, because they did.
Wow. So the Dewberry Hotel was the collateral damage of social unrest, social justice, and the fallout of August 12th, in some ways, is what you're saying.
In some ways. I mean, all of the tensions and all of the
because that was
anger.
The most dysfunctional council, arguably in the history. One of the most dysfunctional councils, arguably in the history. That was when we know now that Signer was through burner email addresses contacting staff writers at the Progress about dynamics on council. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
So that was a council that undoubtedly did not like each other.
No, it was a mess. No question.
I have to ask this follow-up question. You know I have tremendous respect for you, sir. Is the Friends of CVille and Michael Kaplan's 501c3 that are leading the charge with Dewberry?
I know they're involved. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know who's exactly doing what.
Too much